Are you tired of your breaststroke kick holding you back? You know it's supposed to drive the stroke forward, but instead it just feels weak and slow. Maybe you even started to believe the myth that breaststrokers are born and not made. You've tried all the drills, done all the stretches, kicked harder, kicked more, yet nothing seems to make a real difference. And if that sounds familiar, this video is your turning point you've been waiting for. Think of it as the last solution you'll ever need to finally unlock your breaststroke kick. And I'm going to walk you through a step-by-step plan that's helped swimmers at every level. So whether you're a struggling beginner or a seasoned competitor, you can finally feel real propulsion from your kick. And here's what we'll cover: how to fix your breaststroke kicking mechanics for good, how to develop the needed mobility your kick depends on, and how to train your kick for both endurance and speed in ways that actually carries over to your full stroke. And stick around to the end because I'll show you exactly how to fit all of this into your training season. So let's kick it off. If the breaststroke kick doesn't come naturally to you, you're not alone. It's easily one of the most frustrating skills in all of swimming. Awkward, technical, and often the one thing holding everything else back. To get it right, you need the right timing, the right feel, levels of hip mobility that might feel unnatural, and above all, precision. And if you don't nail it, your whole stroke falls apart. I can't tell you how many swimmers I've coached who had excellent pulls, but their kick kept putting on the brakes. But here's the good news. You can absolutely train it to be better. You don't need elite genetics or years of childhood training. What you need is a smart, focused plan and the commitment to follow through on it. Now, this won't be easy. For many swimmers, progress will be slow and it will take patience. But over time, you can turn your breaststroke kick into a true weapon of your stroke. What you need is a combination of three things: targeted technical work, hip mobility focused dryland movements, and kick training that builds both your speed and endurance. So you won't just know how to kick, you'll also be able to kick powerfully all the way through every race. And if you're the kind of swimmer who wants to understand and not just what to do, but why it works, I've created a free ebook called Training Principles for Master Swimmers. It breaks down how to structure your season, how to form progressions, and in general, how to train like a pro. And you can download it for free from the link in the description. It's a great resource to pair with the plan I'll walk you through today. So, whether you're starting from scratch or have been struggling with your kick for years, this video will give you the plan to finally unlock your breaststroke kicking potential. And stick around to the end because I'll show you how to fit all of this into your full season training plan. And if breaststroke kick is your biggest limiter, it will take time. But with consistency, effort, and the right plan, you'll get there. Let's get started. The foundation of a great breaststroke kick is your skills. You could have elite level mobility, the strongest legs in the pool, and peak conditioning, but if your mechanics are off, none of it matters. Technique is the great gatekeeper. And have you ever watched an 8-year-old, often a small girl, fly across the pool with breaststroke kick that seems to break the laws of physics? Because it's not raw strength, it's not years of training. So what is it? And sure, mobility plays a role, but what they really mastered is how to connect their movements to the water. Somehow they instinctively figure out how to generate propulsion with their legs. And most of us aren't born with that feel. But here's the good news. That feel can be trained. And everyone can learn it. The only variable is how long it takes. And now, because you are watching this video, I'm guessing you already know the textbook cues. Open the shins, turn the toes out, snap and lift, and there's plenty of great tutorials that break down what the kick should look like. But in this video, I want to go deeper. How to train the right mechanics, starting without the noise of water, the resistance, or full body movement. Just you, your legs, and clean feedback. So let's start with the classic from your earliest swim lessons: sitting breaststroke kick modeling. Yes, I know it. It might feel like a throwback to being 8 years old, hearing your instructor shout, "Open, point the toes, and squeeze." But guess what? That's exactly what I want you to do here, and for a good reason. The goal here isn't to nitpick every technical cue. It's to isolate your propulsive surfaces, your shins and your feet, from the rest of the leg. Because the floor blocks your thighs, you can zero in on opening the lower legs and practicing the motion of pressing water straight back, with no extra noise, just with pure kick mechanics. And another huge advantage, you can see what's happening. If you got even a rough mental model of the correct movement, you can start adjusting and shaping your kick to match that. Visual feedback is underrated, and this drill gives it to you in full. And here's the thing, whether you are successful at producing the exactly correct pattern is not our focus here. What you are looking for is rewiring your brain to understand how to produce force into the water through the inner feet and shins. And just by having that generalized goal through experimentation, you can find the way to do that. Because real learning doesn't happen when somebody just shows you the best way. It happens when you have a goal and a clear feedback loop. Something that tells you, okay, yeah, that felt better, or no, try again. And the easiest example and analogy that I can think of from the top of my head is learning how to throw darts. Because the goal is clear there, hit the bullseye. And my question is, what helps you more? Obsessing over the arm mechanic or just throwing darts and letting your brain figure it out? With enough practice time and a rough model of how it works, you'll self-organize towards success. And same here, but swimming is tricky because the feedback is often delayed. You don't know if your kick is working immediately. But our goal here is to give you that instant feedback whether you are doing something correctly. And in the case of sitting breast kick modeling, you have the sensations on your leg musculature and how the kick is transferring movement to your hips. So if you feel like you're sliding backwards from the force applied by the kick, you are doing something right. And once you nail the right feeling with your eyes helping you to dial in the right movement, the next step is to go blind. So on this drill, you won't be able to watch your legs, but you still have the ground and the wall to support and guide you. And we're talking about the wall hanging vertical kick. The wall acts like a barrier that stops your thighs and hips from moving too much, so your job is to isolate the movement to your knees and shins. And a little bit of hip motion is okay as long as it helps you generate more power and keeps the focus on pressing water with the inner shins and feet. So grab onto a wall and whatever grip works for you and start kicking downwards. At first, go slow and deliberate. Feel every inch of the movement. Then once it clicks, start adding power by accelerating your kick right through the finish. The goal is simple. Feel the kick, lift your body upwards. And here's a little trick. Use your arms to gently push against the wall as you kick. This adds a bit of like movement drama and helps you to exaggerate the surge from your legs. And that upward jolt teaches your brain to recognize and amplify that leg acceleration, which is exactly what you need for powerful breaststroke kick. Okay, once you train the propulsive phase in place, it's time to put that power in motion. The easiest way to start moving without adding too much complexity is to kick on your back, keeping your arms by your sides, using a bit of sculling, and even looking down at your legs. Because seeing the movement can again reinforce the feeling, especially when you accentuate each kick's power surge with your hands. And eventually, you do want to move your arms up in a streamline and go blind to create the right sensations towards the propulsion production. But now, instead of just focusing on creating the force to go forward, you can start learning how to avoid drag as effectively as possible during the leg recovery. Okay, so how to draw the heels towards your hips in the shadow of your body. You see, the simplest way to think of this is that if someone was watching you head on, they should see almost nothing of your legs during that leg recovery. And to make that happen, you need to bend at the hips and the knees while abducting the thighs just slightly, just enough to keep everything tucked behind your body line. The exact angles vary depending on your leg proportions, so instead of chasing a perfect shape, chase the lowest drag sensation. And repetitions will help you find the path of least resistance that works for you. So while kicking on your back, try to feel whether the leg recovery movement is slowing you down, but a little loss of velocity is unavoidable. But if you feel like you're completely stopping or even pulling yourself backwards, you got some work to do. And now, everything we covered so far can and should be applied to all forms of breaststroke kicking. With a snorkel, with a kickboard, or while taking a quick breath from the front. Because each variation adds a small twist that challenges your coordination, and learning to kick effectively through all of them will build a more adaptable, robust kick. But there's one variation that's both an excellent training drill and a simple, powerful test of progress, and that's underwater kicking. And a quick safety note. This is not a breath-holding exercise. Do not push your limits underwater. It's dangerous and it makes the drill less effective. Stick to short distances, take full recoveries, and focus on technique and timing instead. Alright, with that out of the way, let's talk about why the underwater kick exercise is so useful. The metric that signifies an improved kicking ability is distance per kick, which you can easily measure by doing a predetermined number of kicks and then tracking the distance you are able to span with that. Do a set number of kicks, say 3, and see how far you go. Maybe it's 10 meters today, but a few months from now, you hit 15. Yes, you've probably improved your push-off and streamline too, but how is that a bad thing? Of course it's not. It all adds up to better performance. And sure, it's not lab-grade measurement, but if you're covering significantly more ground with the same number of kicks, it's clear win. You have improved, maybe a lot. Now, another option as you get better is to time yourself to 15 meters with a predetermined number of kicks, limiting yourself to say 5 kicks and measure how long it takes to reach 15 meters. Maybe you start at 14 seconds and a few weeks later, you're down to 12. And in my mind, there is no question that you have improved significantly. And there's more. And yes, I'm starting to sound like a TV commercial. For whatever reason, swimmers find that underwater, they are most capable of feeling the intra-kick velocity fluctuations, which is just a very fancy way of saying that you feel how the recovery phase slows you down and you feel the acceleration when you snap the legs into propulsion. And that real-time feedback lets you fine-tune everything. Pair that feeling with the visible pace clock and suddenly you're training your instincts and your speed at the same time. As you work on your breaststroke kick mechanics, you should simultaneously work toward unlocking the needed mobility to get your legs into the right positions. Because even if you know what to do, if your body can't physically point the shins and feet outward enough, you'll never create enough surface area to push back effectively. And while breaststroke kick demands mobility from multiple joints, the main limiter is almost always the internal rotation of the hips. So think about it. To swipe the shins outwards while keeping your thighs relatively close, your thighs have to rotate internally, because your knees as a hinge joint does not offer any rotation. Ankle eversion plays a role too, but it's a simple fix. So in this video, we're going to focus primarily on unlocking your hip mobility. Now, I won't pretend there's one perfect solution. Everyone's needs are different. And for my male-dominated viewership, simple basic stretching of the quads, hamstrings, and glutes will take you a long way. And once those tissues starts to loosen up, add a couple passive hip stretches, like the one showing on the screen, and you'll likely feel a difference in the pool. But here's the thing, Flexibility isn't the same as mobility. You don't just need to reach these positions, you need to control them. And for that, I got 2 powerful exercises that you can build on for years. The first one is called the curtsy lunge with rotation. And a word of caution here. Hold on to something for balance at first, and if you feel pain, back off immediately. Because this isn't about your knees. It's about gently encouraging more range of motion at the hips. And in the video, you see the first step of the progression. Step forward into a lunge with the front foot elevated, letting the knee and toes track slightly inward, and then rotate your torso towards the front leg. Pause for a few seconds at the bottom and then come back up with control. Eventually, you might be able to hit the same position on even ground with the back leg straight and no support, but that can take years. However, even small improvements in this exercise give you real functional mobility, and you'll feel that difference when you swim. Now, the drawback is that the hip rotation happens while the hip is flexed. But in breaststroke, we need that rotation to happen when the hip is more extended. And that's where the prone hip extension with rotation comes in. So start on all fours. Lift one leg up, knee bent, and extend the hip by squeezing your glute. Once you're at the top, rotate the leg outward. You might only get a few centimeters of movement, and that's perfect, because that's your sign to start doing it daily, releasing a bit more range of motion often. While even the most advanced swimmers need to keep refining their skills and mobility throughout the season, the truth is that if you're not training your kick regularly, none of it will stick, because you need reps, and lots of them. And that's what turns a difficult movement into second nature. So if you made it this far, awesome. And this is where it all comes together. Because no amount of skill drills or mobility work will matter if you're not actually training to kick, and training it a lot. Yes, modeling the right movement patterns, dialing in the timing, and building that neural feel is crucial. Also, yes, having the mobility to hit the right positions is absolutely necessary. But you want to know the secret how to get both of these, maybe not through the fastest and most efficient route, but a way that still eventually gets you there. And you already know the answer. It's actually training the kick. Because it blows my mind when people book consultations from me expecting some magical fix for their breaststroke kick, and they haven't even tried the most obvious thing, training the kick just more. And I don't mean just a little more, I mean a lot more. Because if you're doing one 15-minute set of breaststroke kicking per week and whine about lackluster breast kicking, I got news for you, you are not trying hard enough, my friend. I'll give you specific in a minute, but here's a simple rule. If you're kicking less than an hour a week, do more. So whatever volume you are doing, first double it, and then maybe double that again, at least for part of your season. Because here's the thing, doing more with intention is what builds your mechanics. And the best mobility drill for breaststroke kick is breaststroke kick, especially when you're stretching those final few degrees of range with every repetition. Okay, rant over. And now, if you are already doing enough volume for it to be a good college try to improve, then we can start discussing the nuances. And it goes without saying that if you experience any pain or discomfort, do not push through it. Back off and revisit your technique and mobility work. While some knee torque is unavoidable, but if your hip mechanics are tight or misaligned, that stress can build into something much worse. And you want to avoid that at any cost. And once you confirmed the pain isn't coming from faulty movement, then you can start gradually increasing your workload. And over time, your tissues will adapt. And it is safe to overload as long as you listen to the signs from your body and pull back the kicking volume when needed to let the structures heal and grow stronger through rest and adaptation. All right, let's get into nuances. In general, breaststroke kick training can be divided into two subcategories: distance per kick training, and speed or movement quickness training. And here's how I think about it, and this might flip your mindset as well. Once you build decent control of the kick, there are really only two kinds of breaststroke kick worth doing: your current maximum effort kick and an effort that aims to be a super maximum, faster than anything you've done before. And now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that long aerobic kicking sets are useless, but whatever the set is, every single kick should be done with full intent. It's about snapping each one with force and not just cruising through the reps. The only variable should be how long you pause or glide between those powerful kicks. So even on longer low intensity repeats, the rule stays the same. Snap each kick with maximum acceleration and intent. What changes isn't the effort of the kick, it's the length of the glide. And if you want metabolic challenge, you shorten the glide, but never compromise the quality of the kick. And here's what you want to avoid: pushing the pace with sloppy mechanics. That's how you end up with this weird kind of half egg beater motion. And yes, you might go faster in the moment, but you're training a kicking rhythm you don't want in your full stroke. So every kick in training is either reinforcing the right pattern or the wrong one. And that's why I recommend dropping all of these kind of rainbow sets at different speeds from your breaststroke kick training. Your program should already cover all of those threshold and race pace work, but done in full breaststroke. For the kicking, I like to think in terms of masterful repetitions. Every rep should be focused, deliberate, and max effort within the limits of the set. So this isn't about mindless meters, it's about quality. Long sets challenge your muscles to recruit all the needed fibers and force your body to find new solutions to keep the kick snappy. That's where real endurance and real skill gets built. So yes, in a way, volume is the key, but not just volume for volume's sake. What matters is engaged practice over time. That means minutes and hours of focused, high-quality kicking and not sloppy laps. And to truly build developmental endurance in your legs, you got to progressively do more. More minutes, more reps, more intention, week after week. Now that's the one side of the coin. You got your endurance work, but to make real gains, the other side is training for power. And that means plus 100% effort kicking, with the goal of generating more and more force. But here's the twist. Breaststroke kick is not like other kicks. You're not kicking constantly. Instead, you need to explode with maximal power for just 3 or 4 tenths and then recover for a second with zero propulsion. That rhythm of kicking hard and then gliding and repeating demands a very different kind of practice. And most swimmers never train for it correctly. And this requires, again, a mindset shift. Forget chasing faster times at all costs, at least for now. Instead, aim to become faster in predetermined distances like 25s or 50s using a set number of kicks. That reinforces the real goal: one explosive impulse followed by a relaxed glide. It's not just about going fast, it's about going fast the right way, just like you need in your actual racing stroke. So don't just hammer out 25s with sloppy pumping kind of half kicks. Instead, give yourself a limit, say 12 kicks, and try to kick the 25 as fast as possible within that limit. Why? Because performance isn't just about raw speed, it's about speed per kick. If you go faster but need 14 kicks to do it, that might not be progress. But if you hold the same speed or go faster with just 11 kicks, that's real, measurable improvement in your kicking efficiency. And within a season of training, double down on short, powerful efforts at the start of the season. Build that explosive kick while your legs are fresh and unburdened by fatigue. And then as the weeks go on, around week 6 to 10, shift gears. Start layering endurance, longer sets, shorter rest between reps, and fully engaged kicks to build durability. Finally, about 4 to 6 weeks out of your goal meet, taper down the kicking sets. because it's time to shift your focus from isolated kick development to full stroke integration, transferring all that kick power and rhythm into race-ready breaststroke. Now that you know what to train, the first step is simple. Identify your biggest limiter. Are you a beginner who needs to master the basics? Or a muscle-bound swimmer who's strong but stiff and lacking mobility? Or maybe you got the skills and mobility, but you just haven't put enough targeted kick training to make it stick. Whatever your case, that starting point should guide how you prioritize your time. In a moment, I'll walk you through an 18-week training plan, but I'll also show you how to customize it based on where you need the most work. Because chances are you need a little bit of everything, and that's exactly what this 18-week program is built for. Over the next 4.5 months, you'll cycle through targeted phases designed to build mechanics, mobility, and kick-specific conditioning in the right order. And here's the beauty of it. If your kick still isn't where you want it after one round, you can repeat the process. And many swimmers would benefit from going through 2 or even 3 cycles, each time unlocking more power, more control, and more speed from their legs. So, to get the most out of this plan, here's the commitment. Dedicate around 50% of 2 weekly practices to focused breaststroke kick work. That's it. You're not overhauling your entire program, you're just carving out dedicated space for high quality, deliberate practice that targets your biggest limiter, the breaststroke kick. And if you're not sure which part of your kick needs the most work, or you want a personalized version of this 18-week plan tailored to your goals, you'll find that inside the Swim Rehearsal community. It's where we dive deep into individual needs, offer feedback, and help you stay consistent with support from swimmers on the same path. And now, throughout the entire 18-week plan, we'll replace traditional water warm-ups with dryland mobility work. Why? Because if you don't have the mobility to hit the right positions, every kick repetition you do in the pool is reinforcing compromised mechanics. That's why you'll start each session with 20 to about 40 reps per leg of curtsy lunges with rotation and prone hip extensions with that rotation. Take your time, you can rest between the repetitions, just focus on controlling the end range activation. This sets the tone for high quality work once you hit the water. And for the first 5-week phase, the goal is technical mastery. Twice a week, you'll repeat the same focused sessions. It starts with 5 to 10 minutes of sitting breaststroke kick modeling, building that coordination, that drive, and patterning. Then move straight into wall-hanging vertical kicking for another 5 to 10 minutes to reinforce the same movement, now fully in the water. In both, aim for short bursts of 5 to 10 kicks at a time, resting as needed, because you're not just warming up, you're teaching your body how to produce power with purpose and precision. After the technical prep, it's time for the improvement set. You'll do 2 to 4 rounds of 100 meters breaststroke kick on your back, focusing on both propulsion and minimizing drag during the leg recovery. And right after each 100, you'll perform 2 times 4 underwater kicks, aiming to increase your distance per kick from round to round and week to week. This pairing hardwires your improvements into motion, and I can say this confidently. If you stick to this progression for 5 weeks, your underwater kick distance will noticeably improve. Now, how you approach this phase and the next one depends on your biggest limiter. If technique is your primary issue, you might stay in this phase for longer, repeating the technical work 3 times per week or extending the phase to 6 to 7 or even 8 weeks before moving on. But if you already feel confident in your coordination but lack endurance or power, you can keep the drills lighter and progress to the next block sooner. The idea is simple. Stay longer where you're weakest and move on once the adaptations start to plateau. After that first 5-week technical phase, we shift into power development. You'll still keep a short version of the technical warm-up, maybe just 2 to 4 minutes each of the sitting and wall-hanging kick drills, plus 1 round of 100 kick on your back, plus the 2 times 4 underwater kicks to activate your mechanics. Then it's time to bring on the intensity. Twice per week, repeat the same power-focused main set to build raw kick strength and efficiency. Start with 8 times 25 breaststroke kick using somewhere around 10 to 18 kicks per length. Obviously, depending on your level of advancement. Just pick a number that lets you use full range of motion, apply real power, and include a short glide after each kick. Then stick with that kick count for 5 weeks, aiming to get faster each week with the same number of kicks. And take about 1 minute of rest between the reps to keep each effort as explosive as possible. Then right after the 25s, move into a longer continuous kick to build fatigue resistance, starting with a 200 kick on week 1, then increasing each week by 100. So 300 on week 2, 400 on week 3, until you finish with a 600 on week 5. And the goal here isn't mindless volume. It's accumulating more explosive kicks under growing fatigue. Every kick should still be snappy and intentional, followed by as much glide as needed to stay in control. And if 200 feels like too much to start, scale it down, but commit to building it week by week. In the final 5-week block, we shift fully into endurance mode. You still keep the technical warm-up and power-focused prep, but now the challenge is to maintain powerful, high-quality kicks over increasing distances. And start from where you left off in the previous block. So if you finished with 8 times 25s plus that 600, begin this phase with 800 meters of kicking, split into 4x200s with about a minute of rest between each. The key is to accelerate every kick and hold form even as fatigue sets in. And each week, you'll progressively add another 200 meters, 5 times 200 on week 2, 6 times 200 on week 3, and so on, finishing with a brutal 8 times 200 on week 5. And if that sounds like too much, scale it back to match your level. Just keep the structure, repeat efforts with solid rest, and focus on full range, powerful kicks every time. The goal isn't just to go longer by any means necessary, it's to build the muscular endurance required to maintain race quality kicking form even under fatigue. And now you might be thinking, wait, that's 3 times 5? It's only 15 weeks. What happened to the 18? Great observation. Well, I strongly recommend inserting a recovery week between each 5-week phases. That means 1 easy week with 0 dedicated breaststroke kicking, a chance for your tissues to recover, adapt, and come back stronger. Think it as kind of a scheduled durability insurance for your knees and hips. And that's the full plan. No fluff, no shortcuts. You got the drills, the mobility work, the training structure, and a season-long progression. All that's left is to show up and actually do it. And if this plan resonated with you, but you're still unsure where your biggest opportunities lie, I get it. Breaststroke kick can be one of the hardest skills to crack, and trying to figure it all out on your own can slow you down. That's where I can help you. I offer one-on-one coaching for swimmers who want to stop guessing and start making progress. Whether your biggest limiter is your kick, your stroke mechanics, training structure, or seasonal planning, I can help you with all. And together, we'll build a plan tailored to your body, your goals, and your swimming background. So if you're serious about improving and ready for expert support, check out the link in the description to apply for one-on-one coaching. I'd love to help you unlock your full potential in the pool, whether it's your breaststroke kick or wherever you need it the most. And thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.